From a small liquidation store, Harbor Freight has grown into an $8 billion revenue empire, opening over 1,500 stores across the United States. But it seems that the more they develop, the more they are shrouded in a fog of unusual changes, which most customers feel, but no one can explain. Why did the legendary 20% off coupon disappear? Why have many products suddenly increased in price? Why are the design, packaging, and even the warranty policy all being rewritten? And most importantly, why are more and more loyal customers getting angry? The answer lies in the pieces few pay attention to. Heavy reliance on Chinese factories, pressure from tariffs, a new good, better, best strategy to increase profit margins, and a quiet transformation to turn Harbor Freight into a mini Home Depot with prices that are no longer so cheap. This video will analyze the entire picture like an investigation to show you what's really going on and how to shop smart during Harbor Freight's transformation. Let's get started. In the US, there are store chains so large that everyone knows their names. But Harbor Freight is different. It's not noisy, it doesn't have flashy advertising, and it doesn't own massive buildings. However, silently, it had built an empire that many people didn't even realize, until recent changes began to enrage customers. Harbor Freight was founded in 1977, and it took them nearly 30 years to open around 500 stores. To put it into perspective, if they only opened one store each year, those 30 years would be like the slow journey of a meticulous old craftsman, each hammer blow steady and unhurried. But then something unusual happened. The growth rate suddenly exploded. From 2013 to 2019, the number of their stores doubled from around 500 to nearly 1,000. By 2024, they reached the 1,500 mark. That means every 2 to 3 days, a new Harbor Freight store pops up in some town, a rate of expansion that even many large corporations have to be wary of. And behind that door is a number that surprises everyone. Harbor Freight self-reports annual revenue of approximately $8 billion. CEO Eric Schmidt holds assets worth approximately $16.5 billion, equivalent to being able to buy out an entire small American city if he wished. But what makes Harbor Freight a haven for cheap tools isn't the numbers, it's the feeling. One audience member said, "Every time I go into Harbor Freight, I feel like a 5-year-old walking into a candy store." People in the small town call them saviors because they don't have to drive for hours to buy a tool. New tradespeople see Harbor Freight as the first door to entering the world of tools without worrying about going bankrupt. And precisely because Harbor Freight used to be so great, so approachable and practical, the recent changes have made customers so angry. So what caused this cheap goods paradise to change direction? Now it's time for us to delve deeper into this painting. When a brand grows too quickly, sometimes the most important changes happen silently, right before the customer's eyes. But people only realize it when things are already too obvious. Harbor Freight is the same. And to understand the current wave of outrage, we must trace every step of this silent evolution. Going back over a decade, Harbor Freight was still Harbor Freight Salvage, a haven for liquidation and returned goods. A world where tools can be so cheap you wouldn't believe it, but you'd still happily bring them home because the risk is almost zero. Many people describe the shopping experience back then as being like stepping into a charming casino. Sometimes you'd buy something disposable, but other times you'd find a sturdy copper pot for $9 that you'd use for years. But in the last 8 years or so, Harbor Freight has begun to shift its strategic focus. They launched a series of self-developed brands: Bauer, Hercules for power tools, Icon for premium hand tools, Predator for generators, Daytona for floor jacks, Badland for winches, and most importantly, a launch rate of 500-600 new products each year, more than some established tool companies. This is no longer a cheap hit-or-miss store. This is a product ecosystem directly competing with DeWalt, Milwaukee, and Snap-on, the giants who once looked at HF from afar, never imagining they would penetrate so deeply. But every advancement comes at a cost. Newcomers are praising HF, saying it looks much more professional now. The old-timer exclaimed, "Oh, HF is now selling things as expensive as big brands, so what's the difference? And you, which group do you belong to?" Another shocking change wasn't in the new product, but in the truth behind the scenes of production. In an internal presentation, Harbor Freight made an interesting admission. Many Bauer, Hercules, and other products come from the same factories that also manufacture for major brands. A prime example, Bauer sanders. When placed next to Wen or Ryobi, they are almost identical, requiring you to carefully examine every detail to tell them apart. No surprise, they both come from Yunhao Triple Harvest, a large factory in Asia specializing in OEM. Pliers, floor jacks, and even some mechanical equipment are also manufactured in factories that used to make products for Milwaukee or Snap-on. This raises an important question. If our intestines are 90% the same, are we paying extra just for a logo change? Some viewers see this as the secret to saving them hundreds of dollars. But for those who expect Harbor Freight to always be significantly cheaper, this discovery only makes them even more annoyed to see HF prices rising day by day. If there's one thing that made HF famous, it's coupons. 20% off store-wide, free flashlight, free tarp, free mini screwdriver. Some people jokingly say HF gives away more stuff than people sell, but the golden age of coupons is over. Gradually, customers realized the 20% coupon was starting to be limited. The freebies disappeared. The best deals are locked behind the Inside Track Club, which means a paid membership. Some items are only cheap if you have a Harbor Freight credit card. What is the overall customer sentiment right now? It's not hard to notice when most of them say the same thing. I lost an unspoken privilege that once made me love Harbor Freight. Those who once considered HF a haven for cheap deals are now walking into the store and having to calculate. Some items are even equal to or more expensive than sale prices at Home Depot, Lowe's. This ignited a painful truth. Harbor Freight is no longer unconditionally cheap. Now customers have to choose the right product, and that's why they're upset. In a real-world survey at the store, the video's author found a remarkable figure. Approximately 85% of the products at Harbor Freight come from China. Even the American flags hanging in front of the store have a Made in China label. Some states don't even allow the sale of this type of flag. Why is this important? Because in the context of import duties on goods produced in Asia, potentially changing based on trade policy, HF will be directly affected, either by price increases, or they have to find new suppliers from Mexico, Canada, Taiwan, etc., or change their product structure. Many customers feel a disconnect. Harbor Freight is associated with the American DIY spirit, but most of its goods have to be shipped thousands of kilometers from an external supply chain. So can HF remain as affordable as before in the future? That's a question that remains open. A change that few people notice but is extremely important. Harbor Freight is expanding too quickly. They open stores in towns with populations of only 5,000, 9,000, places where Home Depot or Lowe's couldn't survive. On average, it only takes about 77 days from announcement to opening, an incredible speed. And it almost never closes the store except in case of physical incidents. For local people, HF became a lifeline because choices were already very limited. But there's a downside. Expanding too quickly means logistical pressure, difficulty maintaining consistent quality, an insufficiently trained workforce, and a lack of consistency between stores. And sometimes rapid expansion also leads to prices needing to be adjusted to maintain profit margins. Not everyone understands this, and that's why the audience started getting upset when they saw the price of HF increase without understanding the reason. Harbor Freight is no longer a store for cheap tools regardless. They are evolving from a salvage model to a multi-layered brand, from unconditional low prices to selective low prices, from a small chain to an $8 billion empire, from dependence on a single source to finding a way to restructure the supply chain, and from emotional value to brand value. And this evolution, while economically sound, makes customers feel, my old Harbor Freight is gone. What do you think? Is Harbor Freight on the rise or going off track? Have you ever encountered a change that surprised you? Please share so we can analyze it further together. Because to truly understand the wave of anger, we need to delve into customer pain points, the moments that make them feel betrayed and that have led to growing anger directed at Harbor Freight. When reading hundreds of comments from small-town residents to veteran tradesmen who have been with HF for decades, we discovered their pain points with Harbor Freight, And this is where we will trace each pain point to understand what is happening. First, Harbor Freight is no longer unconditionally cheap. In many comments, users describe the shock of seeing the new price list. Some Bauer and Hercules products are now priced close to major brands like DeWalt or Milwaukee. When there are no coupons, many items at Home Depot or Lowe's are even cheaper on sale. One audience member wrote, "I went in to buy the $40 grinder. Looking at the shelf next to it, the one from the big brand is only 10 more expensive. Suddenly I'm hesitant." This is an identity-based change. Harbor Freight used to win by being overwhelmingly cheap. But as the price range narrows, like the gap between two train cars being pulled too close together, users begin to ask, if the prices are almost the same, why wouldn't I just choose the big brand every time? A difficult question that every brand fears facing. Second, coupons. From joy to a tool for upgrading users. Coupons were once the lifeblood of Harbor Freight. A small piece of paper can make an entire shopping cart look noticeably cheaper, creating a sense of excitement that many people compare to finding treasure. But today, deep discount coupons have almost disappeared. Freebies, the small gifts that make up HF's identity, are also becoming scarce. Better deals are locked behind the curtain of the Inside Track Club membership or a private credit card. One audience member said, "I miss the feeling of walking into the store, knowing for sure I'd be bringing home something free. Now there's nothing left." This change is not wrong from a business perspective, but emotionally it makes customers feel like they've just lost a privilege that was once considered natural. Do you remember the golden coupon days? Additionally, there is also a highly divisive point. Some people bought a torque multiplier. It broke immediately the first time, and even after 2 replacements, it still failed. Some steel blades, chisels, cutting tools, etc., are complained about by many people for not meeting expectations. But at the same time, some people buy Central Pneumatic for $5 and it still runs well after 10 years. One audience member said, "I bought a cheap angle grinder to use temporarily. It's been 8 years and it still hasn't broken." The general feeling is, Harbor Freight is like the casino of tools. You might buy something that breaks immediately, but you could also get something that lasts for a decade. This doesn't make HF worse, but it makes customers feel more unpredictable than before. And as prices rise, this unpredictability becomes even less acceptable. Not only that, but as we read through the comments, we noticed a common sentiment emerging. In the past, HF was seen as an ally of low-income individuals, small, craftspeople, and DIY enthusiasts. But today, the introduction of higher-end brands, paid memberships, credit cards, gradually increasing prices, makes a segment of customers feel that HF is moving closer to a big retail model, which they didn't expect. A typical comment, "HF used to be like a good friend, but now it's like a corporation testing how much I'm willing to spend." Of course, this is just the perception of a group of users, not absolute truth. But that feeling was strong enough to create a wave of resentment. So what about you? Have you ever seen Harbor Freight change in an annoying way? Have you ever bought something that disappointed you or surprised you because it was too durable? Please share, as each story will help make the picture clearer. But anger is only half the story. On the other hand, Harbor Freight is also improving many things that few people notice. And to be fair, we need to look at both sides. After a series of customer complaints, it's easy to see Harbor Freight as a brand in decline. But as we delve deeper into the commentary and real-world experiences, the picture becomes more complex and nuanced. Because alongside the anger, there's another current of emotion, quiet but very strong. Harbor Freight has genuinely improved in many ways. Many people who used to consider Harbor Freight a place to buy say, if it breaks, it breaks. But in the past few years, feedback from the community has shown the opposite. One customer shared that his Bauer drill had been working for 5 years with strong torque without any downtime. Another person said their Hercules grinder still runs as smoothly as the first day after hundreds of steel cuts. And the hand tools icon set, the premium line, also received many comments like, "It holds up to extremely heavy use. Just a few bits are a bit weak. Compared to the price, it's too good." These stories are not isolated. They are like scattered bright pieces in the HF picture, showing that the brand is not only expanding in quantity, but also quietly improving quality in its core segments. Beside, price and performance are still considered strengths of HF, especially for new workers or those with middle-range incomes. In the world of tools, not everyone needs a $300, $400 drill to drill a few holes for bookshelves. HF targets this group of customers: newbies, DIYers, part-timers, small garage owners. One comment reads, HF helped me build almost my entire woodworking shop tool set for $103, the price of major brands. A good pair of pliers at 80% strength for 30% of the price is still a reasonable decision for many people. In many sparsely populated areas, Harbor Freight is almost the only option. Not everyone has a Home Depot or Lowe's 10 minutes from their home. One viewer said, "My town has less than 10,000 people. HF is the only place I can buy tools on the same day without driving over an hour." The fact that HF opens stores in small areas where large corporations are not interested is why so many people still have affection for this brand, despite the controversial changes. Some audience members say that during difficult times, HF once supported the local community by providing tools and protective equipment. These moves, though not overly flashy, help HF maintain a down-to-earth, relatable image in the eyes of many. Therefore, it's not fair to say that Harbor Freight's products are all low quality. The question is more like, how should you play Harbor Freight to get the best profit with the least risk? And that brings us to the most important part. After all the quiet changes and waves of outrage we've just analyzed, the most important question remains. So what should I still buy at Harbor Freight now? This is no longer an emotional story. This is a story of consumer survival. And if Harbor Freight is changing, then the way we shop must change too, to be smarter, more selective, and more discerning. Interestingly, even amidst countless changes, Harbor Freight still has some worthwhile items, even very valuable ones considering the price. First group, simple tools, low risk, surprisingly durable. Many comments suggest that items with little moving detail are almost indestructible. Wrenches, sockets, screwdrivers, pliers, hex key sets. One audience member said his HF wrench set had been with him for 10 years, endured all sorts of impacts, but still worked well. These items are extremely low risk and truly where HF shines. The second group, consumables. Buy a lot, lose a lot, and don't regret it if they break. HF customers seem extremely satisfied with glue, zip ties, gloves, tarps, cheap flashlights, carts, and electrical tape. These are items you use up. If they break, you buy them again, and HF gives you such a good price that you don't even need to think about it. Third group, higher end but worth the money. Strong price performance. Many customers praise Icon hand tools with a lifetime warranty, and many compare them to Snap-on, but at a much lower price. They also mention Daytona jacks, Predator generators, and Badland winches. A mechanic wrote, "My Daytona jack has lifted hundreds of cars and is still as smooth as the first day." These are the items HF wants to use to build a new reputation, and they're actually doing well. But alongside that, there are also items that are warned against buying if you don't want to waste your money. For example, cheap power tools, but they are heavy and for long-term use. Many comments say, drill is cheap, gets hot quickly, cheap saws and cutting machines, not long-lasting if used frequently. If you only use it once, buy it. But if you're using it for work, consider it. Or safety-related tools like jacks, hoists, and inexpensive welding machines. The risk here isn't just losing money, and that's why many people avoid it altogether. You should also consider buying high-precision tools like a torque wrench, because in many responses, customers reported high and unstable errors after a long period of time. When shopping at HF, you should remember the rule. The more complex, the more safety is required, the more accuracy is needed. Consider buying from a major brand. When coupons are no longer as abundant as before, you need a clear shopping strategy. Only join the Inside Track Club if you frequently buy HF or are planning to purchase expensive items that are heavily discounted by ITC. Always compare with Home Depot, Lowe's, and even Amazon before making a decision. Read reviews based on specific models, not just by brand. HF still has good deals, but you have to hunt for them now, not just pick them up. Have you ever bought something at HF that surprised you in a good or bad way? If there was a shopping list that didn't need to be updated annually, would you like to see it? And now that we've clearly understood how Harbor Freight is changing and how to shop smarter, it's time to conclude the story with a fair perspective. Is Harbor Freight evolving or losing its soul? Harbor Freight is at a major crossroads, expanding faster than ever, improving quality in many segments, but also leaving some customers feeling disappointed by changes in prices, coupons, and the shopping experience. The most important thing right now isn't whether they're right or wrong, but that you need to understand clearly to buy the right items, avoid mistakes, and optimize every penny of cost. What do you think? Is Harbor Freight actively evolving or moving away from its old identity? Have you ever had any unexpected experiences, good or bad, with any HF products? Please share in the comments section so the community can discuss together. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on in-depth analyses of the next consumer brands and trends. The content in the video is compiled from publicly available information, user-shared content, and independent analysis for reference and entertainment purposes. All reviews are from a neutral perspective and do not represent any individual or organization. Each store and each product can be different. Always check carefully before buying and consider your purchase based on your actual needs. Thank you for staying with me until the end. See you in the next videos.